here from Intel. Renata is a technical engineer and I'm a sales engineer. So we are supporting Maguay in day-to-day business, and by Maguay we are supporting you as a customers in day-to-day business. And we would like to talk a little bit about the technologies, about the server technology, and later on about the desktop technologies that we as Intel can give you as a products.
I highly regret that we haven't understand what was talked previously, so I hope you announced us in very good way.
Yes, actually we tested recently the 13th gen CPU, and I said I'm more familiar with the consumer part of it, but the first part of the presentation will be about enterprise, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
So the second part you can continue because we are short in terms of time, so yeah, thank you.
Unfortunately, we will speak English because we don't know Romanian, so...
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first topic is the data center products. But before we start what we have and what we will going to launch in very soon, in early next year, firstly we would like to talk about the things which we are investing in, which the Intel is investing in, and the trends which we are observing within the market. You need to know that there are the business needs.
Oh, what is?
The business needs.
You can try this one, I guess, or you can try this one, but this one also seems to be faulty.
Yeah, it's better
what?
than breaking connection through the webinar, because we are still here. Okay, so there are some segments which are dynamically developed, like cloud, high-performance computing segments, artificial intelligence, 5G, and everything which is connected with the networking and the edge. And you need to know that Intel is present within all of these segments. It means that we don't have only the CPUs, we have plenty more and other solutions and other silicons, like networking cards, like the chipsets which are dedicated to the edge. Right now we are going, and we already launched the graphic processor units, which is present in the HPC segment in majority.
And in cars, if you are aware about the car business, probably you haven't missed our Mobileye launch on the stock market. So it was just a few days ago, but it was very successful launch of the company that do autonomous driving solutions, originally from Israel, but right now it's a part of Intel portfolio in that area, and it's very popular in many countries right now as a solution.
It's very worth to mention, especially that we are in very dynamic period of time, how we look on the data center. And right now we would like to talk a little bit from the energy consumption point of view, and showing you how Intel is approaching to this very dynamically changing environment. First of all, it is very important to understand what percentage of the segment are causing us the most energy consumption. So you can see that 38% it's a cooling system within the data center, but the 45%, so it means majority of this, it's the IT equipment, which means in majority the hardware. But this is 45%. We have the rest, which is also the field when we can enhance the lowering the energy consumption. And Intel is approaching to this thing in the three ways. First of all, designing the silicon. So on the production level, we are introducing the new technologies which are helping us to reduce the voltage on the CPU during the production. Second of all, we are trying to decrease TDP, which is also very important. And also from the software perspective, we are introducing some optimized kits, the optimized libraries, which are helping us to optimize the kernel, which would lead to lowering the power consumption. You for sure know that Intel is promoting very much one API, which is the open initiative. It was developed by within the consortium, but the Intel create the toolkits which are helping to optimize the very demanding workloads. So it might be very helpful for your environment and for your application. And the third thing is the system. System means that here inside Intel we also developing some servers, PCs, etc. But we are also developing the software which can, for example, monitor the system to be able to detect, for example, the bottlenecks or the bugs which are appearing within the cluster.
And even more, we are doing the software that allows you to control the power usage and power capping on all of the systems and all of the processor. If you will talk with Maguay, just ask about the DCM solution, and this solution is created for Intel products, and they can even control even one core of the CPU and cap the power usage on every core of the CPU, on every whole CPU or whole system. You can set the targets of the usage, which is very important right now in the very tough environment regarding energy usage, and not about the just usage, because sometimes in the data center you just don't have enough power to get the servers. It's simple, because the power station will not give you just enough power. So you can adjust the usage and set the target, the threshold for usage of the power in the server by DCM. This is very important tool and has a lot of telemetry and lots of information. And moreover, with Intel system sold by Maguay, you get it for free. So, you know, if you buy a RMM solution with the server.
What is important with this software is that this is vendor agnostic, which means that this is not working only on Intel servers. It means that can work on other vendors like HPE or other.
Yeah, but you need license for that.
Yes, for the other, yes, but for Intel servers, it's for free, actually. Okay, so we introduce how we are managing our approach for the power consumption. Actually, here we have all the things which we were talking about, and very important thing we are going to launch in early next year our fourth generation of Intel Scalable Xeon CPU, which is called Sapphire Rapid, and this
it's a code name. It's going to be fourth generation
yes.
Of Intel Scalable processors. And with those, we're going to be launching few types of processors. I mean, there will be high core processors, there will be medium core processors, and there will be processors with HBM technology, which Renata will closer
yes,
tell what is going on.
We will talk about this later as well, because this is something new which we introduced with the fourth generation. This is called Sapphire Rapid HBM, high bandwidth memory. This is actually the high bandwidth memory on top of the CPU, and actually you don't need to extra DRAM within your system. So this is this technology is well known from the graphics CPU, but for the first time we introduce with the standard CPU.
Moreover, we are launching in next year the GPU from Intel. So there will be Ponte Vecchio. We already launched a card, we will be talking about it, a card which is called Flex. It's a first kind of GPU, but it's not fully aggregated GPU for data center usage, but we launch right now GPU. Can you get back to the previous? And we will be, we have a full portfolio for the future. Next generation will be Rialto Bridge, and then we will show you in the near future, in the 2024, it's going to be something that is called Falcon Shores. Falcon Shores will be XPU, so it will be combined CPU with GPU cores. Because yes, Intel is changing in the new generation. You will see the processors that are few chips on one die, but not the whole portfolio. From 32 cores up, there will be modular design, but below 32 cores, we are staying in one chip design. So this is pretty important because this is a big change. That change will allow us to do in the future things like Falcon Shores and other stuff. So you can imagine the possibilities. If you have fast interconnect, you can connect the CPU cores, you can connect GPU cores, you can put FPGA cores. Depends on the usage that you will need from the chip. You can have all those technologies in one chip integrated.
Okay, and a quick summary about our data center portfolio. Starting from the pillar which is called Move Faster. Here you need to remember that we are very much developing the networking card, both the PCI Express as well as the controller card. So for example, for a potential vendor to be able to integrate it within the motherboard. Of course, we are still promoting the Intel Tofino switches and also Intel photonics. Then we have the pillar which is called Store More. So we already sold our SSD business. It will be actually the year and a half ago. But we still have in our portfolio an Intel Optane system. And for this generation, which is currently available, and for the next generation, which will be the 4th generation, codenamed Sapphire Rapid, the Intel Optane persistent memory will be still validated and still supported. We are not planning to discontinue this right now. There is some long-term plan, but for now, this is still in our portfolio. And the third pillar, which is actually heart of Intel business, this is actually the core of the business. It's called Process Everything, and here we have all the CPU, GPU, and XPU, where the X means that something you would like to calculate. Like we mentioned, everything is optimized from the software perspective, using, among others, our one API implementation of this new standard, open standard, which is very important. Here we have some more details.
Basically, it's a summary of what we were talking about in the previous slide. Yeah. Just look at this Gaudi stuff. This is very specified, we can say, GPU for the usage of artificial intelligence. And those cards you can buy already in the servers, and in the future generation of our system with Sapphire Rapids, there will be a platform which you can put those cards in. Right now you can buy it with the other vendor systems like Supermicro, like Gigabyte and HP Dell and other guys. But it's available on the market, Gaudi 1 and Gaudi 2 already, and it's very competitive with the pricing comparing to our competition, which is obviously NVIDIA in that area.
And here it's a good moment for talking a little bit about the schedule. So right now what is available from the data center and scalable processor is Ice Lake and Cascade Lake, so the previous generation. We are planning to discontinue the second generation around the end of this year. But there will be still Ice Lake on the market. It's still very important since Ice Lake is working with the market standard DDR4, and our next generation, which is 4th generation Intel Xeon, will work only with the standard of DDR5.
So Ice Lake will still be on the market, and it's gonna be the main solution, and the Sapphire Rapid solution will be a little bit premium with the DDR5 for HPC solution for high-end workstation and such solutions.
However, this is the new technology and new approach to the chip. That's why it's very important to mention and to establish if you are prepared for the transition to the new standards on the market, which is DDR5. This is the new architecture with the new ISA instruction inside the cores, which are leading us for a really great performance. We will show for a while. But when it comes to the launch of this product, the launch of the Sapphire Rapid will be 10th of January. And then the availability, so it's always like we are starting with the cloud service providers, and then the availability for the broad market will be a month later. So we can expect the middle of the Q1 that it will be available on the market. In this time, we are launching the 3 SKU stacks, 3 level. The first one will be the top bin, which means with the highest dense and the most performance with the
high core count.
Yes, the extreme core count with the highest number of cores and the highest number of clock frequency. Then we have the high core count, which is below the 32 cores. And then we have the Sapphire Rapid with HBM. This is the high bandwidth memory. We mentioned about this. We have the 4 stacks on the top of the CPU. Each stack has 16 of gigabytes, which means that we have in total 64 gigabytes of the system memory, and you don't need to work with the extra DDR5 on board, but you can if your application will require more than 64 gigabytes. Okay, let's go with the next one. Just to mention about our strategy for the next year. So right now we are launching the 4th generation. After that we will have the Emerald Rapid, which will be something like TikTok in the past, but it means that it will be platform compatible. So we are not changing the chip, we are not changing the platform, but we are changing the CPU. So something which was shown in the past.
But you can see on the bottom of the names of the CPUs which technology we are producing in. So right now the CPUs and the next generation will be on Intel 7 process, which is called Intel 7. It doesn't mean it's 7 nanometers. It's Intel 7. It's comparable to 7 nanometers process, but Granite Rapids will be in the Intel 3 process. So the jump is not from 7 to 5. The jump is from 7 to 3. So this is big jump ahead before of us.
And after this platform, we will have the new platform, and we are actually divided our portfolio for 2 stacks. First, we have the P-Core, and then we have the E-Core. This is very important to understand that this will not be on the same platform like we are having in the desktop processor, which means that we are having on one chip combining the P-Core and E-Core. With the data center, we will have separately P-Core, which is actually performance per core optimized, dedicated for the high dense environment. And then we have the E-Core, which is optimized from the power per performance perspective. And this is dedicated, for example, for cloud, when you need for example, the same TDP as a P-Core, but much more cores on the SKU.
For virtual environment,
for
so
example,
you can attach
yes,
more virtual machines.
What is important, these cores are actually the same, but they are software optimized. So it means that they are not, for example, the better one or the worse one. It means that they are actually the firmware and the whole software is optimized against achieving the best factor, for example, power per performance or the performance per core.
So that's why there is a very big importance of real application benchmark, not like standardized benchmark, which is not prepared, not suited for CPUs, and there are no special libraries that supporting these features. So it's important to have an application which will use this solution. And we, as Intel, we have a huge amount of software guys right now. Just imagine in Poland, in Gdańsk, there are over 3,000 people which taking care of deployment of the new generation CPUs into the full stack of application of environment like VMware, Microsoft Azure, and other stuff. And in all this environment, we need a special libraries that will support new features and even more new features in the CPUs.
Yeah, but right now let's recap some of the most important facts about the third generation, which is still available and will be available through the next year. And I'm sure there is still very high interest of this product. So this is actually, we launched 38 SKUs, and more than 50 of them are optimized for cloud and enterprise, 5G and edge. What does it mean? It means that we took the CPU and we simply adjust the TDP, the core frequency, the T-case, the P-state, and other very deep like function of the CPU to be able to reach the best performance from all of these segments. It's also important that with the third generation, we firstly introduce the software functionality, which is called software guard extension. We will be talking about this later because this is something unique for the Intel CPUs and also for the Xeon. With the previous generation, so with the Cascade Lake, Skylake, etc., we hadn't this technology built in. But besides the software guard extension, we also supporting many other software security technologies. We will be talking about this later. Okay, just to recap. Ice Lake is the up to 40 cores. We have improved the 20% of instruction per clock versus previous generation. Then overall performance gain, comparing to the second generation top bin to top bin, is 46%. And what is important, the Ice Lake is supporting integer 8, and you can see very good benchmark performance in the machine learning, but inference, not the training, but the inference. And you can see 74% increase in the inference comparing to the previous generation.
So you can do actually AI not only on GPU, but lots of workloads of AI you can do on CPUs instead of GPUs.
This is actually the message we would like to tell you, that sometimes you don't need the very additional PCI and cards and GPU and FPGAs, etc. You can do.
Like I said, it's very important to have the right software, and that's why the One API solution is optimized for this AI workloads.
Yeah. What is the differentiator of Intel Xeon? So you can packed up to say 6 terabytes of the memory inside one CPU. And this is actually possible by combining the standard DDR4 with our Intel Optane persistent memory, which has a huge capacity. And with combining them, we are achieving up to 6 terabytes per one CPU. Other than that, it's very important that we are still supporting Intel, so with the Ice Lake Intel AVX 512. With the new generation, we will be still supporting Intel AVX 512.
And what is important, we are supporting it at almost the full speed of the CPU, because we know that competition will have this feature in the new launched CPUs, but they will be working on a much lower level, like half of the CPU frequency, and we are supporting almost on the same frequency as the CPU. There is a small difference, but very, very small.
Plus, it's important to mention Ice Lake is 1 and 2 socket. With the new generation, Sapphire Rapid, it's up to 8 socket. It means that it's 1, 2, 4, or 8 socket. Some of the differentiator versus our competitors. So the main thing is the fact how the data is transferred within 2 sockets. So you can see that working with the L3 cache with the same socket, we are achieving, let's say, with the Intel Xeon Ice Lake, the same latency comparing with our Cascade Lake. But when you take the remote socket working with the dual socket platform, you can observe that we are achieving much less latency in nanoseconds comparing with the Cascade Lake and other available CPU. Why is that? It's because the fact that we haven't divided our chip, our L3 cache area on our chip on the different level. It means that every core has the same latency and the same speed to achieving the data which are stored in the L3 core. It's different than other architecture. The same you can observe with the memory controller. So you can see that the latency in the local socket, it's a bit higher than Cascade Lake, but it's still competitive versus other available architecture. You can also see that working with the remote access, the data which is stored in the DDR has much less latency than our architecture. And this is also very important, one more time mention, that you can achieve up to 6 terabytes per one CPU. So
and memory is 8 DIMMs, yeah, so the full stack.
Okay, it's time for talking a little bit about the security and what technology are built in and supported by our CPUs. So first of all, it's very important that Intel still is committed that the security is #1 of our mission. So we are still committed, we will be committed for the future because this is very important for us and for customers and for you. So first of all, Intel is supporting Trusted Execution Environment, TEE, which means that we are following this rule. When the data, it's not only protected when they are stored in the system, but they are actually protected when they are in use and they're, let's say, in fly when we are working with the cloud service providers, so where we are working with the virtual environment. And because we are following this TEE environment, we would like to say a few words about our technology, which are supported by the Intel Xeon Ice Lake CPU and will be supporting, of course, with the upcoming new CPU. So first is the Intel Software Guard extension, in short SGX. This is something, one more time I will mention about this, which was introduced with the Intel Xeon Ice Lake CPU, 3rd generation. And actually, what is important with this technology, we are creating on the system level the very secure enclave, which can have the capacity up to 512 gigabytes. And you can store on the application level the most sensitive data inside this enclave.
This is very important on the application level.
Yeah.
So even if you have operating system and you secure this enclave from the application level, the same user, if he's not using the application, cannot access the data on this enclave. If you set it so, but because you can set it, of course, on the level of virtual user or on the operating system, but even on the application level. So if you have very secure application that has access to very sensitive data, then you can do this enclave and get the access only to application user with the login for application in this technology, because everybody has total memory encryption. This is not a problem. Everybody has it on the level of virtualization, even on the OS level, but nobody has it on the application level. This is very important.
But also it's worth to mention that this SGX will require some code changing. It's not much. Intel is supporting our customers for building the architecture in the proper way to leverage the most we can leverage from this technology, but this will require some changes in the code. And then we have, of course, total memory encryption, multi-key and single key, which can be generated by our CPU. Then we have the crypto acceleration, which means that we are having the technology which is called the quick assist technology, when you can actually the speed the encrypted data to be transferred to other point.
Just you have to remember one thing, that these are features of the CPU that doing those things in the background, not using the CPU power. This is something that you get extra with the CPU, and this encryption is much faster with this technology, and it's not using the power of the CPU. So you can use it for your application, for your workload. It's not using the CPU itself.
And lastly, we have platform firmware resilience, which is monitoring your system just before it will be boot. So the firmware will be monitored, checked, and if there will be detection of any of bugs and any of issues, it will be automatically removed, and then the system will boot lately. Here, it's very important to show you the level of the security for all of this feature. So you need to notice that with the SGX software extension, when you created this enclave, you can see the data, that the confidential data is actually a part of the application. So you are, when, for example, there will be bias or firmware attacked or affected by any of the not desired behavior. So you can see that even there will be some of these elements attacked, your data will not be touched. Your confidential data will be saved. Of course, if you don't need such a level of the encryption, such a level of the security, there are any other solution which can help you to protect the proper level of your system. So it's, of course, it depends what do you need to protect. Or, of course, you can combine all of them to build the extra level of protection. Some of the data, of the performance data with the third generation, this is the comparing to the Cascade Lake top bin.
Yeah, we'll not focus on those data because we don't have time for it, but believe me, it's really visible that we are increasing our performance.
This is just to show you that you can analyze the CPU not only with the standard benchmarks, but you can analyze with a different other benchmarks which are dedicated to the different segments.
Application benchmarks.
Yes.
This is important with supporting the DLL.
So you will achieve different performance data for example, material science, and different performance data for financial services. This was actually for the HPC segment with the AVX 512 supported.
And of course, we have platforms that you can buy at Maguay. This is our standard platform for as a DSG systems, which are fully compiled with our CPUs. And of course, we have a bunch of different solutions fitted for standard usage, like rack 1U, 2U platforms, and so-called twins, like Tennessee Pass, which is a solution. You can see that server on the showcase there. Those solutions are pretty nice for HPC environment, and and you can use it in the high density data center.
Just a few words from my side about the Coyote Pass, which you can see in the showroom. That this is very highly configurable system, which means that you have really big amount of option you can configure then, starting from the CPU and ending on the SSD and other write controller, etc., etc.
And what's important? When you look at those platforms, look at the quality of this platform. This is very important because all the data center guys, when they are seeing the platform inside and how it's done, really appreciate the quality of the platform. Maybe it's not the cheapest platform on the market, yes, I agree, but the quality of the platform and the reference design of this platform is very important.
And when there is, for example, order for example, Maguay customers, always when we build the configuration, there is sent to our engineers in Mexico, and they are testing it against the configuration.
And validating.
And validating it. So you have assured that the equipment you are buying and you are receiving, it's fully validated and fully tested against the power, against the other performance things. Okay, and just a few words about the Sapphire Rapid, the most important facts. We are talking about the things which are already disclosure. So this is for the public disclosure. What is important, Wojciech just mentioned, let me show you, that there will be two different approaches to the Sapphire Rapid. The first one is called multi-tile approach, where we have 4 chiplets. Every chiplet is connected by EMIB bridge. EMIB bridge is the technology which was developed by Intel, and this, from the logical point of view, the system is seeing the whole CPU as a one CPU. So the system is not seeing the 4 chiplet, it's seeing from the logical point of view the one CPU because of this EMIB bridge and the perfection of
and
this
the connection
bridge.
between the chiplets, it's much faster than competition. This is very important because we are working hard on this, so there is almost no latency on this connection.
One other important thing with the multi-tile is that every tile has own memory controller, own cache level, own I/O chip on that. So it means that every chip has their own adjacency. So this is up to 32. Below the 32, we have standard monolithic die. So it means that there are no EMIB bridge and other stuff. Why it's important? We had to start it with the monolithic die because of the size. We don't want to have very big size of the CPU. We need to have the handy, let's say, CPU still. And other thing, why I need to show you. Why we introduced this, why we have so big CPU, is the thing that we have the built-in accelerator chips inside the Sapphire Rapid. So you have something which is, you will see on the market plenty of the 3-letter acronyms, which probably will not tell you much, but these acronyms are built-in accelerator, and the purpose of this is to offload the main cores from the standard tasks and from the standard workloads to be able to calculate all the calculation with the CPU need to done. Which, for example, we have dynamic load balancer (DLB), and this feature, this accelerator, which is actually built into every chip, will allow us to make the load balancer of our upcoming packets to the CPU, and not making all of this operation on the CPU itself. So it means the CPU itself will be able to make other stuff during the other processes which are doing by these accelerators. Okay, just I want to back for the one slide because it's very important to mark what has changed with the Sapphire Rapid. About the built-in accelerator are already mentioned. Then we are going with the new standards on the market, PCI Gen 5, but it will be backward compatible with the PCI Gen 4.
And of course DDR5.
DDR5, but it's not backward compatible. But still we have other solutions like high bandwidth memory, like I told you, this chipset on the CPU. And of course, plenty other ISA instructions which are built into the CPU and which are helping us with the supporting integer 8 and bfloat 16 registers for the application which are required this. Why it's important? Because this is not only for the inference, but it's also for the training workload, which means that maybe in some of the cases you don't need the extra GPU working on your platform with your environment and with your workloads. Okay. Lastly, this is the last.
Just to mention about the new GPUs that are used for mostly for visual enhancement decoding. Like if you have IPTV, you have to watch it on the different sources. Like I don't know, you can watch it on your iPhone, you can watch it on your iPad, you can watch it on your 85-inch screen, and if it's a Netflix or other stuff, it's very easy because you can have all those screens in the drives, and you can, when device is asking for special resolution or special size, you just get this file in that size. But if it's IPTV, if it's something that it's live, you cannot do it. You have to scale it immediately to the device, and this is all done in the cloud, and this is all done in the on the fly. And those devices, they are helping in this usage.
So we launched this recently. This is, like Wojciech said, to cloud, visual cloud, especially for the VDI, transcoding, decoding, transferring data, Android gaming, and the Windows gaming. These are the segments which are supported with this card. We launched two different cards. First one is 75 TDP, second one is 150 TDP, and both are dedicated for the different solution.
And we have to go just 2 words about the standard desktop products, because we are almost out of time.
So the standard desktop products, so for sure you recently heard about the launching 13th generation of the desktop processor. This is called Raptor Lake. I'm sorry.
Raptor Lake, it's our new generation of CPUs. We launched already i9, i7, i5 solutions, and this is already launched. There is no Celeron and Atom and Pentium over standard CPUs, but all those 13th generation cores are here. Yeah.
And we launched the i9 K SKU and KF SKUs. KF SKUs are without the discrete graphics, so you need to work with the dedicated graphics. When it comes to the mobile CPU with the 13th generation, U, P, H, and HX, so 35, 45, and 65 watt, they will launch on the CES. This is 4 and 5 of the January. This is the launch of the product, but the availability will be different depending of the fact if this is commercial or consumer. Just to remind you, the consumer is without the vPro, the commercial is with the vPro. The commercial with the vPro will be launched in the middle of March. The commercial one will be launched in the middle of February.
Consumer.
Yes. So this will be the SKU portfolio. What is also important with the Raptor Lake, So there are two different cores. There are P cores and E cores. P cores are called performance one, and they are taking care for them with the single thread tasks. And the E core is efficiency core, which is taking care of the multi-threading task. So that's why we are only making the multi-thread of the E cores. So all the threads are the sum of the P core plus dual E core amount. What is important in the 12th generation, the previous generation, we have the multi-die approach or the hybrid architecture only with the i5K and above. And right now with the Raptor Lake, we will have this, hybrid architecture with all the i5 SKUs and above. The i3 SKUs is still monolithic one. So what has changed with the Raptor Lake? Let's see. What has changed? First of all, we increased the P core, the amount of the P core. And then we have, we increase amount of the E core. Then we, of course, increase the clock speed of the P core. Also, we changed the hybrid approach with the i5 and above. What has changed with the chipset? We increased the PCI Gen 4, and also we increased the number of USB 3.2. And what is important, the chipset which will go with the Raptor Lake, which means 700 series, is also, so the 13th generation will also work with the previous generation of chipset, so 600 series, so it's backward compatible.
And it will work with the DDR4 and DDR5. It depends on which platform you are choosing. You can work with the old memory and new memory.
I think not only the memory is backwards compatible, but even the socket is the same as the previous generation.
Yes, socket is the same, and moreover, PCI Express is backward compatible.
So you can upgrade your PC directly to the new CPU.
Yes. Yes.
So
So this is very important because it's one of the first time that we do it, because every time when there was a new platform, there was a new socket, and you had to change everything. Right now, you don't.
But it will change with the next generation, which is called Meteor Lake. Why? Because this is the totally new process. It will be disaggregated architecture, which means that we will put different devices on one chip, right? So that's why it's not be the backward compatible. One other thing which is important, we are supporting Intel Speed Optimizer. Why I am mentioning about this?
High overclocking.
Because we achieved 8.8 gigahertz of the overclock recently on our CPU.
8.8.
What I said? Sorry. 8.8, exactly. So here we have some benchmarking, just to tell you that this is for the gamers and the content creation, the really perfect CPU, which will be...
Just to tell you one thing, Intel is ruling on the desktop market again. Yeah, because there was a time...
Can you bring it back a little bit?
Yeah,
no, that one. Okay, for the rest of the tests, look on Zona IT YouTube channel, because we already have. And the comparison here... 12,900. You can compare it. We compared it also with the new AMD 7000 generation. So
because that's why here you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
7.
No. This is 5950. No, I'm speaking about
Reasons.
7950.
Okay.
Yeah.
7950.
No, we don't have here.
Yeah.
I told you.
Or at least it is not public from the Intel disclosure.
Okay.
Because we have it, but it's not the public. So
it's on par. 13,900, it's pretty much the same with the 7950. But the good news for everybody is that the lower end processors, like the i5, it's better than the competition in the area of mid-price.
And it's much better than previous generation, yeah?
Yes, true.
And I think this is also in showroom, some system with the 13th generation.
You can see already systems with the 13th generation.
13, so actually, just one other, last stuff from my side, just to tell you about the Intel Thread Director, because the fact that we have the hybrid architecture, we have different cores. So system needs to know how to spread the task within these two cores. So actually, the Intel Thread Director sector is doing it. It's doing this by priority task sending to the P-cores and the background task sending to the E-cores, which are actually multi-threading. That's why we have very high number of the performance when it comes to the multi-threading.
If the task is taking too much attention on the standard cores, it would switch to the P-core and do it much faster than using all the cores, and you have still access to all the other cores instead.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Just 2 words about the Nux solution,
It's
and
done.
it's really done. So we have, you can buy it at Maguay, our Nux solution. Just flip on the slide, on the next slide, and next, yeah. So there is a full portfolio of Nux. You can have like gaming solution, even with our new graphic on die, 770M. It's a Serpent Canyon solution, very nice with the 12th generation core processor, and in a really small box because it's that high, that big. You can have a gaming machine for your kids or for your home or for attaching to the TV and has a media solution and fully or fully content creation solution. If you need rugged solution, Intel has it. You can have this in the factory with a lot of IPX support and with dust support and all of this. And of course, you have majority of other products. There are a lot of products for kiosks, for edge computing, supporting in the shopping malls, traffic management, and all the stuff. So you can use it. From our side,
Thank you.
I think we have to stop here. Thank you, Renata. Thank you, Wojciech.